Hey everyone, I'm Corey Bradbury, producing artistic director with the Theater in the Dark and the director of A Matter of Red Herrings, and also my pleasure to also play Rod Wrong. So wearing a couple of hats here, but I'm joined by a wonderful ensemble. If we could first go around and just introduce who you are and what characters you played, and since we're all looking at screens, why don't we go Amy, Jules, Laura, Christopher, Greg.
I'm Amy. I play Detective Steele. I'm Amy
I'm
Gorlow, I guess I should specify, from the all the other Amy's out there.
my sister. I'm also Amy. No, I'm Jules. I play Watley Holmes.
I'm Laura. I play Vesper, Drake, and Wayne.
I'm Christopher Michael Meister Senior. I play the postman. I play Bruce the newsie. I play Sam the piano player, and I also play Armand Valdo and gosh, I'm remembering the old name. Mal
Yeah, it's
Falcone.
quite a
Thank
track.
you.
It's quite a
Vincent.
track.
And then, I'm Greg Garrison. I was Wilhelm, and I'm also the playwright of the production.
As
And you're
well as
the
the
narrator.
announcer. That's right.
Oh, right. That's right. And now this.
And sometimes the words they just come out every night. We're not quite sure. Well, wonderful. Thank you all for being here and for also doing this little bit of a Q&A. So we'll chat for about 15, 20 minutes. And feel free. I have some sort of structured. We'll go around and then the second half, we'll kind of open it up and just have a discussion. So if you could each go around and maybe we can go in this order or as inspiration strikes. I know that we, with what we're doing with Theater in the Dark and audio plays kind of exist in this strange but really cool hybrid territory of podcasts and audio/radio plays and live theater and voiceover. So, and I know everybody has a connection, especially within this play, also with comedy and noir. So maybe if everyone could talk briefly just about your background and influences from one or multiple of those avenues and how it brought you here.
Um, the pandemic happened and I decided never to leave my house again, and this was something I could do in my house, and it was really exciting. But also, I during the pandemic, I got into voiceover and audiobook narration, and also it was really awesome that I could do a show without leaving my house.
And apparently, you also sleep on your wall with that mattress behind you. I love
Oh,
that.
it's an anti-gravity chamber. See?
Oh, she's
Spared
on
no
the
expense.
International Space
She
Station.
doesn't need to leave. Yeah. That's so cool.
There's a lot of things in my basement, and that's one of them. We don't have room anywhere
That's
else.
one of the things I love about the pandemic is that all actors now also have to become their own like engineers and designers.
Yay!
I guess I
yeah,
also
you go, Jules.
started. I was going the order we did last time. So
That's a safe spine to follow, and then if it breaks, that's fine.
You guys with your memory.
I still haven't figured out Zoom, and we've been doing this for about 3 years now. Yeah, I also, like many other people, started a podcast during the pandemic because, just what else are you gonna do? So from buying a bunch of sound equipment to do that, I always really wanted to do voiceover. I just never really had the time to, and then I had nothing but time. So, yeah, and I heard about Theater of the Dark, and it seemed like you all did cool stuff. I shouldn't swear.
It's okay. You can. Yeah, we'll release this on the midnight YouTube channels.
I'm going to say duty.
Duty. Y'all did some good duty, and I wanted to be a part of it.
He said duty.
Do civic
Midnight.
duty.
And on that note, thank you for listening to our Q. No,
Um, yes, I mean, this is very original, but I also found voiceover during the pandemic. I'd been wanting to do it for a very long time, and then finally took some classes, and I'm like enrolled in a year-long voiceover program, which is really fun. Yeah, and then I got my friend forwarded me the audition for this and was like, "Hey, you should try it," and it was really awesome. So yeah, very grateful for the opportunity to kind of like blend my theater background and then this new voiceover world I'm exploring. It's kind of like the perfect stepping stone. So it's awesome.
I I found voiceover in the woods when I was a child, wandering aimlessly. Uh, no, I actually have a different story. Is I did a lot of voiceover before pre-pandemic for a couple of years. I was doing books, and I Chirp Radio in Chicago, which is a nonprofit, all Chicago music stadium. I was a DJ there for 8 years, so I was doing it for a long time. But then back in 2018, out of the blue, I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I had stage 4 throat cancer, and I didn't know it. Not a smoker or anything like that, but I had to have a surgery, everything, and I had to relearn how to talk. I had to relearn how to do things. My voice was a little different. And so it's really a joy for me more now to do voice acting and to do voice things, because it's a great new dynamic for my voice. And also, I don't know if I can go back to traditional theater because I don't know if my voice has that kind of longevity to be able to do a long run. So doing short bursts of revelry is great, but like Laura was saying, I toured for a long time doing improv and worked with a lot of different theaters, so you're getting to use all these different trainings you're doing, and kind of have to improvise between the lines as well. So that it's a great new ground, and it's totally accepted. I've heard and watched online more plays than I have in the last 2 years than ever in my life. And also you get to get in the genre, and podcasting is so huge. And we did have the weirdest podcast ever though, guys. We did called Films of the Future, and we reviewed the entire film only based off the trailer.
I love that.
Wherever you get your finest podcast.
Yeah, no, I've been affectionately referring to it as screaming in my closet since 2017. I've been a VO artist, a freelancer. I was actually working in an animation studio for years, just doing like scratch track for them, and then they kept using it, and I was just like, oh well, I can probably get paid better for this then. So yeah, that's when that started for me. So I was actually ready for the pandemic, one of the few people that did. And what made me laugh was I was kind of traveling a lot and having to put up my closet in different closets every single time, or just like setting up my phone and everything else. But yeah, I never saw anybody. I worked from home. I would scream in my closet, like I said. And then the pandemic hit, and everybody stayed home for those first 2 weeks. And then I started seeing people all the time walking around the apartment complex. So when the COVID hit, I started seeing people more often and had more work. It was really strange. So the opposite for most people. But yeah, no, I've been doing VO for a while, and I actually get to share this. I just won earlier today, or I got notification that I won the Animation Voiceover Challenge, which is a
congrats.
national challenge. So yeah, 1,200 submissions. I was one of the 100 that got selected. So that was
very
That's
cool.
awesome.
What was it? Say more.
Oh, so that's as much as I know. Really, I'd have to read the email, and I don't want to spend all that time doing that. But yeah, it's a national challenge, and I think like the top 2 get like reels and get called in and get put in a film and whatnot. But I think part of my reel will be animated actually, which is kind of fun.
That's
Well, all
cool.
right, you heard it here first, folks.
So
Greg
yeah,
Greg
all
doesn't even read his emails about awards.
He's got too much work.
all the screeching of Wilhelm is years of practice.
Well, that's cool. Congrats. No, it's always a joy for me to put one of these projects together, specifically within this form too, because as originally a theater artist, and one of the things that I think also makes us unique, although we're not the only group to do this, is to rehearse and present our shows like in real time. So this is also a little bit different. We had originally been performing live online audio plays, but for this, even though it's not a live presentation, it's still very important for Greg and I as the director and playwright to have something that was still rehearsed and still performed in real time as well. And also the ability of the podcast, or the pandemic. I got my P's mixed up. But the idea that the pandemic has allowed so many actors, even though of course we all wish that none of this had happened, but it has allowed people to connect. And we've connected with actors all over the place, both in North America and beyond. And this project is also unique in that, with the exception of Greg, who's in Chattanooga, everyone else is from within Chicago as well, which is particularly exciting. And also, like, it's ironic that it took us a couple of years to get back around to when we had like a Chicago cast as well. But just a delight to be able to connect with people both close and near, And as we like to joke, also your green room is only 3 feet away, so you can step out and have whatever buffet catering is provided for you. Okay, quick. So great. So let's go around and in no particular order, let's just say one thing about you that has like absolutely nothing to do with voiceover or theater or comedy or noir or what have you.
You know we're actors, right? So nothing does.
Great. Next question.
Everything gets written off.
Hello, my name
Everything
is
gets-
Greg Garrison. Let's see. I do enjoy video games more than most people, and have a complete Pokemon card collection. Mhm.
Ooh.
There you go. Perfect.
Thanks.
Top
Greg.
that.
Yeah.
I don't think if I have any talents that I don't monetize. I'm like, I like to draw. Wait, no, that's no.
Yeah, that's
I'll
like a
take that.
huge
No, that's okay. That's a
talent to
non-performance thing.
monetize.
Yeah.
I don't though. I don't. I just put them on Instagram sometimes. But,
Drawing's just for
There
you.
you go.
I plugged
Yeah,
the
for me.
voiceover thing. You plug your Instagram. Go ahead. Go crazy.
oh,
I'd say that absolutely fits the criteria of a non-theater or performance thing.
Mhm.
Great.
thank you.
I haven't really, which is weird, over the pandemic done as much because, like Greg was saying, I've got busy, which was weird. But I restore old stereos, like and old Victrolas and old players from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Really, it's just old circuitry. It's great. Those things are made to last, and so it's kind of a fun little side project. I have one that I just worked on now.
That's awesome.
That's super interesting. Wow.
And jukeboxes, but those are very hard.
Jukebox party at Chris's house.
Yes, please.
Dance
Parts of
night.
jukeboxes.
Yeah.
Parts of
Partial dance party. Yeah.
Partial.
That's all right. We'll throw a Victrola and a jukebox and a couple of stereos in there from different
Yeah.
decades. And
All together. Make it into a deck. I like to swim in the lake. I'm really excited that it's gonna become it's like this big infinity pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
okay,
it.
so you're
makes
you're
me
not a
happy.
winter swimmer.
I would. I'd do the polar bear plunge. I just hadn't really had the opportunity. So if anybody wants to get in on that, let me know.
I'm
There's a
polar
guy
bear
who
for
works in the
life.
film industry here in Chicago who's been jumping in the lake for every day for 3 years, and he films it. And he sometimes has to break the ice,
Oh my god.
get down every day for 3 years.
Yikes.
He's still
Uh,
alive to tell the tale.
He hasn't
Yeah.
grown a fin or anything.
No, I just have a rule that anytime I go to the lake, I have to actually go in and
Mm-hmm.
force myself to get under. As a southerner, I'm not used to it. It still has not truly come into my bones, but I'm getting there. I'm getting
Swimming?
there.
It's only 75% water at Lake
Swimming.
Michigan anyway. All the rest is just runoff.
Dice
Yeah.
Chicago runoff. It's
sandwiches.
the good kind. You drink right out
I
of
need
that
at least 30% runoff to be comfortable.
But that's one of the reasons I moved here. Like in Atlanta, you don't get water. You have to stay inside in the air conditioning all the time. And that's not fun.
But like the Chicago fire spread so long because the Chicago River, which is water, caught on fire.
Yeah.
That's
that
how
tracks.
it
That's
spread.
comforting.
So there you go. There you go. Not saying that we have the same amount of pollution, but still, I wouldn't go drinking a whole cup.
No. Or dipping your hand in it if you still want to do anything with your hand later.
You get a little shot of Malort, you wash it down with some
Yeah.
lake
The
water.
Malort.
you're good to go.
Malort
Yeah,
is
some
actually
old
just
style.
like it's
Yeah, isn't it
it's
just
like
lake
Michigan
water with a little
drinking
food
water.
coloring? That's
Oh
great.
yeah. At our,
Um,
I never had Malort, and then at our bachelor party here, they were like, "Oh, you have to." That's everyone got a round of that, and I was like, "This is gross."
Malort-
Sorry.
They call Malort in an old style is called a Chicago handshake. So Vincent Falcone's probably giving him. I'm going to give him a
Oh,
Chicago
yeah.
handshake.
Yeah.
Yeah, either
Before it
grapefruit or
kills you.
ash. That's the flavor profile.
Something I do that's not related is I love related to the arts is I love I am an avid player of Disney Villainous board game. And
nice.
I'm obsessed, and my husband and I do like 2v2 matchups, but I love board games in general. And and so but that's probably the one that I'm like, I will crush you in. Very,
That sounds
very
intense
intense.
also as a-
Follow-up question. What are the ages on a Disney Villainous board game?
It's
For
okay.
an
It's for
up,
adults.
right?
It's very hard. I promise. It is. You have. It's not for kids. It's intense because it's a villain. So
Wait, it's a Disney villain game, not for kids.
Not
I
for kids.
love
No,
it.
no, it's actually very hard
Everyone
and
has
a lot of
a
strategy.
gritty adult reboot nowadays.
Yeah, it's called Disney fucking Villain.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
Chris, I'll take you down.
there goes
But
our rating.
Yeah, there it is. Now we got to get the R.
Bleeps, bleeps.
Actually, no, we're not allowed to do any sort of editing. This has to go out exactly
Yes.
as is for authenticity, for our
It's a
theatrical
first.
roots.
And this then duty, gusset, moist. Yeah.
moist.
Like that, guys. Uh-huh.
Those are going to be
yeah,
the
we'll put
little
some accordion
hashtag
music
words
in.
at the bottom.
That's exactly what we need. Okay, cool. Well, let's then shift this over into a discussion of like noir, and I'll kind of combine two questions into one. Like, matter of red herrings is many things. We spent the first day of our rehearsal process looking at a bunch of different noir inspirations, and it spans decade, it spans type, it spans star, it spans length, it spans message. So I'm just interested in maybe what everyone's like either favorite aspects of noir, or what you leaned into or stayed away from as we were developing our take on noir, comedic noir specifically, and then as you were developing your characters, some of which fit like the noir archetypes and others which play against them entirely. So we can have this just be kind of an open-ended discussion. I don't know if anyone would like to start off, but just talking about general influences of noir and how that might have influenced your process in one way or another.
Or Chris could just teach us everything about noir.
Yes,
I
yes.
got a few books.
Every single one of the books in Chris's background is noir based, actually.
Oh,
It's
not the one
actually
on
all the
Prince.
same book. The Prince of Noir. A lot of
Oh,
people.
I see.
No, I'm a huge noir fan, and Jim Thompson is my favorite writer of all time. And what I love is that noir started, truthfully, as a book medium, went to radio, went to film, and we're bringing it back. We're pushing it forward into the internet realm, and leaning into quote unquote the iconography or even the cliches of it is great, because there's a familiarity that you guys out there can just pull in right away. But then the writing and the direction of it shows itself. It's not a parody, but it's showing kind of the funniness of the icon itself. So I totally leaned in. I mean, that was like, well, at least Valdo was like Ricardo Montalban, Peter Lorre, and then I think an old neighbor of mine in Texas, all just rolled in together. And Vincent Falcone I just went down to the South Side for 20 minutes.
I don't know Thompson terribly well. Dashiell Hammett was kind of my in, like Maltese Falcon and the Glass Key, and like there's obvious references throughout that. But I would have to say like what got me into it was kind of like Double Indemnity and the dualities that come up, because I think it was Hammett that was the one who talked about the umbra, the shadow double. So like the brightness of certain things being like being said, and then like the gritty backside of it, how even lines can be said, oh, see you next Tuesday, and then yeah, see you next Tuesday, just like the darkness that kind of creeps into the perspective because it's a gritty medium to begin with. Yeah, but like the most common thing that I've heard about this script, or like people looking at it, is like, is it a comedy or is it drama? I don't know, and it's like, well, it's a parody, but in the same sense, it never lets go of its heart. Like it is trying to tell that story, and I feel like the highs are high and the lows are low. But at the end of the day, it is still a story that feels real, just with a lot of really dumb jokes in the middle, and that's my favorite part. Is trying to just juggle all that.
Well, I'll say what I love on the directing side is, that all the red herrings do matter in one way or another, either emotionally to a character or there's some connection elsewhere in the story. And so that's been a lot of fun to unpack with all of you and what you've brought to the table as performers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember I tried to play it absolutely straight one day, and then I was like, no, that doesn't work for some reason. And then it just had fun with it, and it was, I mean, I did not know much about noir. I've seen, several, but I had this very thin idea of what it was, and you didn't really need to with the script because you say the words and the noir is there, it seems like.
And I also think that you need to kind of the pace and the rhythm and the meter of it is written as a noir, and especially I think when you hear it audibly, you don't you can't, like, true crime to me, you hear true crime today. It's not truthfully a noir, it has noir symptoms to it, let's say, but it's not a noir to where on film you can, and as we saw examples when we were in the dramaturgy of this, is that it's more of a look and a style, and not necessarily an audible sort of feel. So doing this online and doing this just with our voices, the more you lean into that noir aesthetic, it just fits so much well, and your characters just got meat on the bones that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and I
almost-
would. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
No, you just get kind of like sucked into it, and I feel like it was so easy to visualize this world that I didn't have to do a lot of work with that. It lends itself to that. So it was so fun, the layers and the language, and like each time it's like I find something new, and that's so cool. And it's just been really neat to unpack all the layers that are within the script and then within each character. And I think that's such a fun, the shadows that are there. And it's just it's such a great script. And I think not knowing a bunch about noir either, coming into this, it was still so easy to like just become a part of it and immerse yourself in it, because that's just what the script like lets you do.
Yeah, and we focused a lot on the heart of the script, as Greg had mentioned earlier. And I think, too, one of the things that separates this truly from a noir is the fact of like what happens at the end. And it becomes ultimately a comedy, and it is happier, even though there are sad elements. It's bittersweet in some ways. But that's also, I think, become more and more apparent as we've rehearsed it and we've heard it now so many times.
Well, and also the comedy of it goes into the time frame. This is like in the 1929, right? So that's the king of screwball comedy. And so any of that comedy actually even fits more into the timeline of the script.
Yeah.
Back and forth, like there are versions of this where Drake was removed, and then we kept reading it. It's like I don't really know where the moral center of this is, and Drake really ties that together. But when we kept calling it a screwball comedy, that didn't feel right, because like I said, it's not always able to be pinpointed as comedy. So I was like trying to like corner the market on screwball dramas. Everybody's silly, but it has something to say, you know. So
Yes.
Oh, yeah, right. Because, you have characters getting shot in the gut, but also like pulling off mustaches to reveal their true identity, and how do we create a world that these two things live within each
I'm
other?
bleeding out. Put my mustache on so no one recognizes me. It's just.
Well, a lot of people don't know that, like in Bringing Up Baby, right? The screwball comedy, they shot him. No, I'm kidding.
Spoilers.
I think after a couple of
Deleted
decades.
scene.
Yeah.
You can see Baby as the rug in a future film.
Jules, how about for you? Any influences you leaned into?
Yeah, I mean, like Amy, when I came into this, I think I was trying like so hard to play, the hardened detective archetype I've seen so often. But it just kind of fell away the more fun we were having with it. And it just became like kind of its own thing. Because I'm like not a huge movie person. Like I'm bad at watching movies. Especially like the older the movie is, the more I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm
Citizen
bad,
Kane doesn't do it for you then?
Godfather.
Oh, you know what? I like took a film appreciation class, and I like totally ditched when they had to watch
it didn't stick, apparently. Film appreciation class. I did appreciate the film.
It was an easy credit. Just, like, I looked up the synopsis and I was like, oh, I guess this is supposed to be really good, but I'm going to a party tonight. I'm a bad kid. I hope my mom doesn't watch this. But all of those like references though from those like classic noir films are like they reverberate through so many other kinds of media. So you find yourself like not even catching what a reference is because it's just been like reiterated so many times. It's cool. And Sin City, we never talked about Sin City, but I think that is actually the first time I saw something that was like, oh, this is like a different kind of style. I like this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's a great, that actually would lead me to my final question for everyone of, talking, and Chris mentioned the idea of going forwards and also going back. And we definitely have like leaned into the elements of what made Golden Age radio great, but also bringing the technology into the 21st century. So maybe just in a short sentence, like how do you see the technology impacting like where storytelling, maybe just not even noir in our piece, but like how are you excited, or are you excited for what else can be done with technology and storytelling in this in the 21st century?
I think right now and not to date ourselves in this, there is one of the most hybrid movies out there. Everything Must Go Now. It's got Michelle Yeoh in it, and I mean, before technology has just been so laid into like Marvel movies, and they've been using that, but now we're putting it into such different narratives, into different structures, into exponentially thinking that I can't wait to see the first metaverse total technology. I mean, maybe Nightmare Alley was, but we can go even farther with more noirs right now.
100
I
years
think
ago.
immersion is
Yeah,
like.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. Immersion.
Immersiveness, right? I've done like a lot of work with immersive theater, and I think technology makes that even cooler. Like the more you can kind of blend all of the devices we already always have on us at all times into the art that we're consuming. I think it's cool.
Mhm.
That's it.
No, you're good. No, it surprises me every time I get a text from Corey while we're recording as I'm reading the script off of a different computer. It's just like we're using 3 different screens to do all this. And at the same time, the coolest thing to me, this whole process, was when we were doing auditions, listening to people from California, from Canada, from all over the world. And I've never been to Chicago, and I'm working with a cast and crew in Chicago. And it's just really fascinating to like think the distance that we would have had to have covered like even 10 years ago or 30 years ago. It's just like we're able to just meet in the same room like this. That's the most fascinating part about it to me, I think.
Yeah, theater's gotten really huge. Like it used to be, this little group of people in this place, and now it's everybody who ever had, contact with this, and they've moved overseas, and yet they're still a part of it, and they get to come back.
Yeah,
But
and we've had listeners from like 46 states, 8 Canadian provinces, and over a dozen countries, including like Turkey and the Philippines. And that's been like overwhelming for us, which are like as a small Chicago, sound-based storytelling group.
And theater is using the technology not only for that, but for I've seen completely projected sets where so it's great that it's being able to used on that kind of level. And in 20 years you're going to listen to a podcast, and then the chip in your brain is going to be able to see it. My other podcast is a conspiracy theory.
Well, and now that the vaccines are out, right, we already have those chips planted within us.
Oh,
Or is that too
okay.
edgy for a Q&A?
Thanks,
Too
Bill
edgy,
Gates.
too edgy. No, it's really neat because I think the technology allows us to like expand our storytelling in so many unique ways, and just gives us more ways to like be creative and to connect, and we're reaching a larger audience, which is kind of like the point, right? You always want to make it accessible to as many people as possible, and I think theater doesn't always do that. And it's neat that with technology, something like the platform like this, it's going to be able to reach more people, which is really cool, and it allows us to like make this really unique hybrid that we've kind of happened upon. And what I think so special about it is we didn't, especially because we did it live, like even though there are all these screens, like I could still feel all your energy, and like that wasn't lost at all. And so it was like this really unique, like I'm alone next to my closet, but also like we're all together still, and that's such a beautiful thing. And the energy and the flow was like still there, and the technology doesn't take away from that. It just kind of expands in other ways. So it's really special. Yeah, really cool project to be a part of.
I mean,
What's that?
we're doing this Q&A right now, and I just ordered a pizza on my phone. Technology's beautiful.
it's
No,
not
I'm actually
because
delivering
none of
a
us can
pizza.
have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
is
has
weird.
made cast parties difficult. You can't play music. It's hard to listen.
Yeah.
But
Can't sing
on
along.
that note, I would say, Greg, whenever you come up to Chicago, we will all be able to get together, which will
Yes,
be
cast
a
party.
pleasure.
I'll bring chocolate turtles and blueberries for Laura and Jules. That's how
You're
we'll
the
do it.
best.
Wait, do they eat chocolate covered turtles in where you're at?
No. We just eat them raw. I was gonna put the chocolate
that's
on it
good.
for Jules.
Yeah.
Dip your toes in.
There is like a turtle candy too, like that.
I thought that's what you meant.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that was a deep pull back to some rehearsal jokes.
I'll just
we were
raise
making.
my hand next time I'm telling a joke.
That way you know. Otherwise, it's not
Just
obvious.
cue you in.
Well, that's a great note to end on.
There. Just do that.
So what kind of pizza you're getting is what we want to know.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
really what all of this
Deep
Q&A
dish?
has led to. This question: what's on the
Inquiring minds.
pizza?
deep dish luminati. So what else would I get?
Oh.
All the other, one originator, other imitators.
You know
I'll
where he
reach out
lives,
and
right?
see if I
You
can
gonna
get a
tell us?
sponsorship.
That would be
Please do.
amazing.
We plug you at the end of the Q&A. But I will say for everyone also, thank you for listening to this and or watching this, depending on how you're engaging with this particular piece of media. We really appreciate it. We love to hear your feedback and thoughts, so feel free to get in touch and learn more about us at our website, atheaterinthedark.com. And it doesn't matter how you spell theater, because we got both of them. Take that,
Oh.
21st century.
Somebody splurged.
Oh, yeah, I got all the domain names.